Hey guys, so here is the prep for today's class, Painting Birds of the Tropics. We'll start by doing a straight line down the page, divided in half, and then divide that top half by 4. In the first fourth, we'll draw a circle for the head, and a third of the way down, a mark for the beak. Then draw a straight line, showing where we're going to put the ellipse of the body. Moving down, about halfway down the final fourth, we're going to place the 2 feet. And at this point, we can start to refine the details of the tail. So remember, you want to do this very lightly so that your marks don't show up on the page. I'm going to start mapping out the beak and placing the eyes by drawing a line from the side of the beak to the top of the angle of the eye. Now I can refine the shape to make it more bird-like using another ellipse for the wing to the side and mapping out the tail feathers. Now I'm going to erase all the drafting marks. You want to do this lightly so that you don't damage the paper. And then we're going to start building this up by wetting down the paper first and then just dropping in harmonious colors. So we're going to start with a green. Don't worry if it seems like it's going everywhere. It's going to take a couple of minutes to reach the full amount. And if you mix a few colors together beforehand, you can have these blend together. So just have greens, yellow greens, and blue greens blending together here. While you wait for one area to dry, you can move on to another area or even the background. And if you're using pigment-based watercolors like I am here, it's going to go on darker than it's going to dry to. And if you get any extra, you can just lift it up. Moving into the background, I'm going to try and mute this color a little bit more than the bird so that the bird comes forward. To do that, I can either add a bit more ultramarine blue or a tiny touch of brown to my paints, just to dull the background down a little bit, which will make it seem like it's receding a little bit further than if I was just to use the same greens in the bird. I've left some areas of the bird white where the light is hitting. That's really important in watercolors, as the lightest value is the white of the paper. And you want to leave clear open spaces, especially if you're not using a particularly vibrant type of watercolor, to get enough contrast in your work. So I've left quite a big highlight here. And I'm just playing around with the background, dotting in different shades of purples, yellow ochres, just dull down shades as I wait for the body of the bird to dry. Using a hairdryer just to speed that along. Now that the paint is dry, the marks that I put down over this are going to be darker and crisper. So I'm going to use some flat brush strokes to do a little bit of shadow across the chest, as well as underneath the branch that it's leaning on. You can also use more stylized brush strokes at this point to show feathers and darken up or intensify any areas that the first wash didn't make as intense as you would like. For the beak, I'm going to start with a yellow ochre and add in a little bit of brown and blue to deepen up that for the side of the beak once that dries a bit more. I'm using a little bit of ultramarine blue to do an extra shadow underneath the beak and around where the eye is going to be, as well as deepening up the base of the tail and the shadows underneath the feathers. I'm using the ultramarine blue on the base of the branch, and then I'm glazing brown watercolor over that. adding in just a few more feathers using a purple, so ultramarine blue with a touch of crimson added to it. And then I'm using a black pen to put in the finer details, which is a nice kind of cheat that you can use to get finer details or block marks that you want really crisp. Just realize that branch has to go over that wing, so just putting that in now. Some of the outer feathers. Then the eye. And when I get a chance, I'll do a little drop of gouache over the eye, white gouache, for the highlight. Now in class, I'm going to have us use the vibrant watercolors as well as gouache to create really more vibrant birds than the pigment-based watercolors. But if you'd like to practice this at home, this demonstration will probably be more similar to the watercolors that you have at hand, unless you've bought the Anna Linky set, in which case it's the exact same process, you're just diluting your paints more. And then if you want to use gouache, we're going to use that when the Anna Linkys have dried. I'm using it mainly because you can use it when the paper's a little bit more wet. We won't have to completely dry our pages before we do that layer. So it's just saving us a step. But the process is wet on wet, let it dry, or use a more concentrated medium, and then come in with the second sharper layer. Hope this was helpful.